But you are the chairman. If you don't want to...
You have a right to ask any question. What I'm saying that she has just made a request. Do we ask her?
What is the request?
No, she said what she request.
No, she said the director...
Do we allow the director to answer the question? Not even a question. So it cannot be. No,
there's something I want to say. I want to place it on record, Mr. Chairman, that as we are sitting down here, the press is covering us. You understand? And tomorrow, not everybody here will know what we have done. You understand? So I want to say my own mind, because I can't continue to come here. Each time I come, we discuss this loan, and nobody knows what the loan is all about. This madam that is PAMSEC, I want to know her name. And again, I want you to know that in civil service, when you finish, you leave. Others will come. Because this country we see like this, our own time is almost running out. And the ones coming behind us, they are watching. You are coming here to take another loan. You say they didn't tell you to tell us what you have done with the one given to you before. Ordinarily, you should know that we are going to ask you, what did you do with the one that was given to you before? And you say you know the minister, they invited him before to come and tell us something. He didn't come. And now you are requesting that you have to come back. And they come to think about it, this loan supposed to be used for the entire country. I have never seen anywhere, for instance, where I come from, where there's any water project from federal government going on, not to talk of even completed in my own zone. You understand? So I want to say that this loan, this particular one, I'm loyal to my chairman and the leadership of the National Assembly, but I don't support this one. Again, enough is enough for this loan. We need to grow as a country.
I listened carefully to you and as to what we want to do with this loan. Let me put it on record that I'm aware of the crisis we have with water and with the wash. My background is a medicine. I'm a medical doctor, and I know the importance of water and sanitation. However, I want to start from our federations in Nigeria. What's the responsibility of federal government, the responsibility of state, and local government? In water, is your ministry set up to be building toilets and doing small water projects, or you are set up as federal water resources to look at the bigger picture, like the Gurara and so on? That's the first question. I raised this just when I'm coming from Education Committee now. Every time in the country, we speak about restructuring. But federal government is doing everything, including now toilets and small water. That's number one. Number two, we're a country. What is the criteria for selecting the states? Even if we now say we are getting money to do this because probably states are not doing it, or it's a crisis and the president or the federal government should be responsible. Why? I mean, we are taking 700 million. If you converted it to our own currency, it's in trillions. How many? So the next question will be, the details you are providing is not enough. Specifically, I read your submission about what the money will be used for. What are the water projects you want to do for the 640 in terms of this thing? Detail needs to be provided to us. You only provide population that will benefit. That's easy to be able to project. If you put a borehole down, if you have a population of 1 million in that place, you say all of them are populating 1 million. But we are 640 million. If you times it by 411 or 400 something, I will give you the figure. How many water projects are you going to do in those states? You listed 7 states. I asked my first question, what's the criteria for selecting? Why is it not all over the country? 2, how many water? Now, in your presentation, you say you are giving each state $3 million to develop their capacity to do this. $3 million is 1.2 billion naira, 1,236. On your paragraph 8, it stated 35 million is to be utilized by the state to develop personnel capacity, strengthen state institutions, derive policies and legislation for the improved monitoring and evaluation mechanism. Madam PAMSEC, do we need to take loan to do these ordinary functions? Because if you take this 3 million, 35 million, that's about, it's almost 10, billion naira you give to state. Do you mean all these states don't have staff in the Ministry of Water Resources who know engineers who knows the work, or they don't have policies, and we are taking loan for that, for responsibilities that is the primary responsibility of state? My last question is that we are giving state money. Federal government is the one that will pay the money back with federal resources. What's the role of the state now? What are their functions? I'm back to my first question in terms of water and sanitation to their people. They also have budget. Are we not replacing, are we not encouraging governors not to do anything? Because federal government is now doing water, is doing toilets in state. Just like the last speaker said, I don't know about federal government. People talk about the National Assembly. Our small, constituency project, this is what we use it for. The last 2 years I've been here, I've been able to dig more than 60 boreholes in my constituency, much more than that, because I try to spread. But what does it do? I don't see it in my state. I don't see it by people benefiting. So why, and every Nigerian will pay back this loan.
I'm not against we Nigerians taking loan. But if we are taking loans, we should be able to take loans to do certain developmental projects that will impact on Nigerians. Yes, we are talking about WASH, that's the sanitation, the building of the toilets. I've seen the toilets that have been built in my local government. We have not gone on oversight to see what projects are going on due to the COVID and the security restrictions that we've been having. But from the updates I had yesterday, was it 11 of these dams were completed in this country? I take a simple example of FCT Abuja, the seat of government, federal capital. Water, drinking water, potable water is something that's very difficult to provide. $700 million, you are talking about 300 and something billion naira. We are taking it to improve on some of these dams we are talking about, which we never complete. I've seen the budget. A dam that will cost huge amount of money to be built, to be constructed. You put a meager amount, and you keep that budget rolling all over, and you are taking these loans with the specifics that they are meant to build dams. I've not seen them working that way. My own is that even if we are going ahead with these loans, we should be able to have concrete and good reasons and good projects. Perhaps you agree with me, or your directors that have gone to the field. Do you want to show Nigerians the kind of toilets you are building with loans like $650 million? I mean, we don't have any other country but here. Why are we deceiving ourselves? What is the national budget meant for? This budget is being funded how? We have to take loan to fund them because we don't have any other source of making this money here. What is costing it? We cost it for ourselves. We take $700 million as a loan. We remove almost 70% of our national budget to pay these loans. And it's going concurrently. How do we manage it? I will advise this committee that we should look at these loans. It's not like we shouldn't deny these loans, but we should look at these loans and take the ones that are necessary. Those of the ones that we know they are waste, we should abandon them. We don't have to do it. An institute that is doing research is now coming back here, seeking for a loan, telling us that that loan will be used to produce end product. Why is it done anywhere? So it's typically the same, like what we have seen yesterday. And I have the same ideal with my other colleagues. We need to look at these things very carefully.
I'm really worried for this country. In the presentation by the PAMSEC, you said the supply, piped water, access to piped water supply in the country has declined from about 32% to 7% over a period of about 20 years or 30 years. Your minister has been there all these years. What is really our problem? Is it that we are not serious? Because water supply, just as my other colleague, my doctor colleague said, water is very, very important. Water is life. And over the years, supply to, access to such water has declined drastically. Where are we going in this country? So I would like the PAMSEC to maybe pass some comments. What has your ministry been doing over the years that access to pipe-borne water has been a serious problem?
From the look of things, things are bad. And this is time for you to now, if you feel you have the capacity to answer these questions, you must take them from the Gurara Water Project.
My name is Didi Walson-Jack. Thank you, sir. And then the questions he asked about Gurara and the other loan, when I finish, I'd like to invite the directors here to throw more light on those loans. So I'd like to now attempt to answer the other questions. So the Federal Ministry of Water Resources is set up to manage water resources and ensure that Nigerians have potable water for all their needs. That is just in a nutshell. But I must quickly add that the responsibility of water supply rests mainly on the states and not the federal government, and therefore not the Federal Ministry of Water Resources. But the Federal Ministry of Water Resources has a responsibility to intervene where there is a need. And that is what we have been doing. We have been intervening in the states. We have been interacting with the states. And I don't have figures offhand, but it is something that we can show you from whatever year you want to see what the ministry has actually done. Now, I'd like to quickly go to the criteria for the states that have been selected for the soil wash. In my presentation, we saw that there are 7 states that were found eligible based on readiness criteria. And we also said in the presentation that depending on how these states fare, other states, when qualified, would come on board. And so it was a rigorous selection process that started with a national workshop in September. And the eligibility and readiness criteria was agreed upon. All the 36 states and the FCT who responded were part of the exercise. And the assessment scores for all the states that participated in the process are attached to our document as an annexure. The annexures we sent earlier. I'd like to also quickly go on to describe the programs that are to be taken under. Yes, sir. The states are Delta State, Ekiti State, Gombe State, Kaduna State, Katsina, Plateau, and Imo. These are the first states that were found eligible based on the selection criteria. Now, the programs that make up this WASH funding are that we would have 6,100,000 people who will be provided with basic drinking water services in both urban, rural, and small towns. Distinguished senators, you will agree with me that the earlier statistics we gave shows that the water and sanitation situation in the country is not good enough. And that is where the ministry comes in. Because, as the distinguished senator said, we are looking at the big picture. And so even though the big picture involves the big dams that are so expensive to construct, we have a responsibility to ensure that right down to the rural areas, our people have access to potable water. And so this program will give 6,100,000 persons such access.
Sorry, I have to intervene here. That's why we say we ask you more questions. You see, there's contradiction about roles and responsibility. Yes, federal government is to serve Nigeria. As you said, that's why we said, what's your responsibility? You are getting out of the responsibility to undertake state responsibility. That's number one. Number two, you mentioned the people. As I said, we need to know specifically how many water projects you will use this money for. Because I will refer you to paragraph 7 of your submission. You broke down the 640 million. And you said 60 million investment project component. The 60 million IPM consists of 25 million for Federal Ministry of Water Resources to be utilized for capacity building, strengthening institutions, and to support in preparation of new state. 25 million US dollar for all this one is not going to provide water. It's his transactional cost. That's what we are, and then we'll pay back with, we'll pay back that 25 million with interest from Nigerian money. That is not providing water. That's capacity, that's transactional cost. And this is what we are concerned with the loan givers, World Bank and Co. As we said yesterday, they give something in the right hand and take it back in the left hand. That's why I asked the question. I saw your statistics of the people. But what statistics we want is specifically, is it we are doing state dams, you are doing borehole, you are building toilets. How many are you going to provide? Then, like consists of yours, my colleagues here, we'll be able to determine cost effectiveness, cost efficiency. But when immediately you are saying 60 million, that's about 10%. It's already just for transaction, for travel. When you talk about capacity building, it's meetings in hotels, giving DSAs and so on. And these are low money. That's our concern, Honorable Pamsek. As we said, that's why we say we ask you more questions since you are ready to answer. You have the statistics of the number of projects, and then we can do the costing. We can be able to determine cost effectiveness, cost efficiency.
Okay, sir.
Mr. Chairman, you know, you said you answered my question. What I wanted, I said, the loan given to your ministry before now, you have to tell us what you have done with that money. And it's not just speaking English here.
Yes,
you
sir.
need to give us the paper, the communities, the local government,
Yes.
the where you invested that money. We need to see it. And I also said that, you know, government work is not one person. And whatever we're doing now, as I said earlier, for instance, in this document you submitted now, you just quoted names. You read to us. You see, you said 2,000 schools and health care facility. Where is the schools? 2,000. The 1,400,000 people that you are going to provide, where is the person? I mean, if you really want to defend us, anyone you bring the document and show to us, we'll see it and say, yes, we have done this one. then we can go and check what you have done. And I stand here to tell you that in my own zone that I know very well, there's no area that I don't know in my zone. When I get that paper, I see, yes, this is what you have done with this loan borrowed. Because it is Nigerian people that their money that's going to be used to repay this money. So every part of this country will contribute in repaying this money. So we want to know what and where this money was used.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think I had already said earlier that whatever I say here, we will back up with documents, because verbal talk is not good enough. So we had already...
Why don't you now, better, Mr. Chairman, you have to go back to what the chairman said, so that you go and get all your, Mr. Chairman.
Sorry, excuse me, sir. We have already given you the documents for saw wash. Can I talk on saw wash? Because I need to make a clarification.
For saw wash is the program now. We're not talking. That's not the issue now. You see, let us not. I try as much as possible to help you, so you don't start dancing around the whole places. Because I know that you resumed the Federal Ministry of Water Resources. So we need to have time to look at the books, because we're talking about a sustainable water program for this country. And if you are not detailed enough, you're not able to convince anybody here. I think the minister needs to come and defend this program, so I'll be able to know exactly what to do. So on that note,
one thing you must note, the PAMSEC, as the last my senator here said, this money is Nigerian money. It's Nigeria that will pay it. Part of Nigeria cannot benefit, and the whole Nigeria will pay. We are here representing all our constituencies. Whatever World Bank eligibility criteria they are talking about is not acceptable to us. It should be equity and fairness. And the 700 million is not for the whole Nigeria. 700 million is for 7 states in Nigeria. We have 36. So we are going to be querying that. That's why we're asking specifically which are the community. 2, note when you are submitting, transaction cost is too high. And we have to look at that. You can't be spending 10% of it to do just capacity building and so on. Because we are going to pay. That's why Nigerians are raising questions to us that we are taking loans, what is the impact of the loan? Where is it on ground? This is part of the impact that we are talking here. So as the chairman wants to put the gavel, you have to be able to address all the issues as we raise them. It's not verbal. Support it with documents. And as they said, before we approved the 700, you took 500 for water and sanitation from African Development Bank before, under 2016, 2018. We need full report of that, the impact, including communities and so on that have benefited. We see that, we review it, and be able to see whether this is justifiable or not before we approve it. Thank you.
In order to further clarify you, are you aware that under the first request that you made on the sanitation, that the World Bank has released $12.5 million to you? And do you know how that money has been spent? You don't know. You don't know. So that's why I said, go back and put yourself together. On that note, I want you to go back and ask the minister, discuss with the minister, ask him to come and meet us.